November 1930, the frozen wilderness of Nunavut, Canada. A trapper named Joe LaBelle seeks shelter in a familiar Inuit village by Lake Anjikuni. But instead of the usual sound of drums and laughter, he finds a terrifying silence. The fires were still warm, the pots were full of stew, and the kayaks were still on the shore. But the people, all 2,000 of them, had vanished. No footprints in the snow, no signs of a struggle, just an empty village of ghosts.
Let's dive into one of Canada's creepiest mysteries, the vanished village of Anjikuni.
Seriously, how does an entire village just disappear? That's the mystery at the heart of Anjikuni Lake.
So it's November 1930. A fur trapper named Joe LaBelle shows up expecting a warm welcome. But instead, he got this eerie, unsettling silence. A really bad feeling started to creep in.
It was like everyone just stopped right in the middle of whatever they were doing.
Yeah, this wasn't a planned move. With stew still cooking and rifles left behind, they left fast. LaBelle knew something was wrong. He booked it to get help, and soon the RCMP arrived to investigate. And the first thing they found? It was grim. 7 sled dogs, all dead from starvation. And here's the bizarre part. There was plenty of food nearby. They starved, just feet away from it.
Then, things get even weirder. The village graves, all dug up, but this wasn't animals.
And get this, police and trappers all reported seeing strange lights in the sky above the village. So what gives? Aliens? Some kind of curse? To figure it out, we have to look at the story itself. It all started with this one article. And the journalist, well, he was known for writing colorful stories.
See, the original story was about 25 people, not the 2,000 the legend sometimes claims. The RCMP actually investigated. Their report? Zero evidence. They couldn't even prove LaBelle was there.
And you can see how it just snowballed. A small story gets picked up, gets bigger and bigger. So officially, the RCMP is clear, it's just an urban legend. They say it never happened. An empty camp isn't so strange. The Inuit were nomadic, but it doesn't explain the spooky details.
So maybe the truth doesn't matter. The legend of Anjikuni Lake is just too good to forget.
The mystery deepened when the RCMP arrived to find even the ancestors' graves had been emptied. The dogs, vital for survival in the Arctic, were found starved to death nearby. What force could be powerful enough to take an entire tribe and ignore their most basic tools of survival? Was it a mass abduction, a cosmic event, or something that rose from the depths of the frozen lake? Let's trace the cold embers of a community that was wiped off the map in a single night.
All right, we're heading way up north into the remote, frozen wilderness of Canada to a place called Anjikuni Lake. Now, this place is the setting for one of the most chilling and just plain weirdest mysteries of the 20th century. The story of an entire village that supposedly just vanished into thin air. I mean, just think about that for a second. This is the absolute core of the legend. A whole community. Some stories say up to 2,000 people just gone. It's not like they packed up and left. So did they just walk away into a blizzard? Or, as some people have seriously suggested, were they somehow just lifted right off the face of the earth? So how does a story this wild even get started? Well, it all begins with one man, a lone fur trapper out in the middle of this vast, snowy nothingness. Okay, so picture this. It's November of 1930. Our guy is Joe LaBelle, a trapper, and he's navigating the pretty unforgiving Canadian landscape. He knows this area, and he's heading for a small Inuit village he's visited before right on the shore of Anjikuni Lake. You know, a friendly place to rest up for the night. But as he gets closer, something just feels off. It's too quiet. There are no kids playing, no dogs barking, none of the usual sounds of village life. There's just this heavy, profound, and totally unnatural silence hanging in the freezing air. So LaBelle walks into the camp, and what he finds is just bizarre. It's like everyone just evaporated mid-task. He sees fires that are still smoldering, with pots of food still simmering over them. He finds unfinished parkas with the bone needles still threaded right through the seam, like someone just put it down a second ago. And here's the real kicker. Their rifles, absolutely essential for survival out there, are just left behind leaning against the tents. There are no signs of a fight, and weirder still, no footprints leading away from the village. And this right here is where the story shifts from being just strange to being genuinely horrifying. Because the details that came next, well, they defy any kind of simple, logical explanation. As LaBelle searched around the edge of the village, he made another really grim discovery. He found the villagers' sled dogs. There were 7 of them. And all 7 dogs had starved to death, found buried under a snowdrift. But get this, the village's food caches were full, untouched, literally just a few feet away. I mean, why? Why would these vital animals, so crucial for survival, be left to die of hunger when there was plenty of food right there? It makes absolutely no sense. But maybe the most disturbing thing LaBelle found was at the village burial ground. An ancestral grave had been opened up and the body inside was gone. Now you have to understand, desecrating a grave is a massive taboo in Inuit culture. It's just something you don't do. And the heavy stones that covered the grave, they were found neatly stacked nearby, something no animal could have done. It points to a deliberate act by a person or something else. And as if all that wasn't enough, the mystery got even deeper. When authorities started asking around, they talked to other trappers in the area. A man named Armin Lauren and his sons told them they'd seen a strange, shimmering object in the sky just a few days before. They said it seemed to change shape as it flew silently, right in the direction of the Anjikuni Lake village. So with a story this bizarre, you've got starving dogs, an empty grave, a possible UFO sighting. The authorities had to be called in. And this is where the official investigation begins. And honestly, where the legend really starts to come apart at the seams. So Joe LaBelle makes his way to the nearest telegraph office, sends out a message, and pretty soon, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the famous RCMP, launch an investigation into the complete disappearance of an entire village. The very first thing the investigation cleared up was the scale of this thing. You see, the legend we all know today talks about this massive village of 1 or even 2,000 people. But the very first newspaper article about it back in November 1930 told a very different story. It mentioned a small, seasonal camp of about 25 people in just 6 tents. That's a huge difference. And then came this little bombshell. Just 2 months after this whole thing supposedly happened, an RCMP sergeant named Jay Nelson filed an internal report. His conclusion? It was blunt and it was clear. He wrote, "I have been able to find no foundation for this story." So, wait a minute. If the RCMP basically dismissed the story almost immediately, how did it grow into one of the world's great paranormal mysteries? Let's take a look at how a small, questionable report turned into this epic legend. The way this story grew is actually pretty fascinating. It starts in 1930 with that first article by a journalist named Emmett Kelleher, a guy the RCMP themselves noted was known for writing colorful stories. Then it gets officially dismissed in 1931 and basically goes dormant for nearly 30 years. But in 1959, an author named Frank Edwards digs it up for his book Stranger Than Science, and bam, it's back. From there, every time it gets retold in another book or a magazine and later on the internet, the story just gets bigger and wilder and more dramatic. And when you really start to look closer at the original details, the whole foundation just kind of crumbles. The RCMP report found that Joe LaBelle was a rookie trapper, not the seasoned veteran of the legend. The police have zero official records of any strange lights or any mass disappearances in that area. A permanent village of 2,000 people would have been impossibly huge for such a remote part of the world at that time. And here's the most important part. The Inuit people in that region were traditionally nomadic. Packing up and moving camp was a totally normal part of their lives. So, if the facts really don't support this story, why are we still talking about it almost a century later? What is it about this tale that captures our imaginations so much that we want to believe it? The story of Anjikuni Lake is, well, it's a textbook example of an urban legend. It has all the right ingredients: a mysterious event, a really isolated location, and just enough strange little details to make it seem like it could be true. That lets it spread and change and get bigger over time. So what most likely happened? A small nomadic group probably just moved on. Maybe they left in a hurry because of bad weather or because game was scarce, leaving a few things behind. But that image of simmering pots and starved dogs, spiced up by a journalist looking for a good story, created something far more compelling than the simple truth. So, in the end, we're left with this question. Has Lake Anjikuni been holding on to a dark, paranormal secret for almost 100 years? Or is the real mystery not about vanished people at all, but about our own fascination with the unknown, our deep-seated desire for stories that can't be explained away? So what do you think? What were those strange lights people saw in the sky that night? The answer might tell us more about ourselves than it does about what happened on that frozen lake shore.
The people of Lake Anjikuni were never found, leaving only the wind to howl through their empty homes. Some traces lead to the stars, while others are guarded by the sea. Stay tuned, because the next case takes us to a lonely lighthouse on the Flannan Isles, where 3 keepers vanished from their locked tower, leaving behind a half-eaten meal and a mystery that has haunted the waves for over a century. This is Terminal Trace.